What's up, LEGO fans? I'm James May, but not that James May, and I have a cold. And this is Tubeside, the show where we take a sneak peek underneath the brick to see how LEGO sets are made. So, in previous episodes, I've talked about the design process, but I've not really gone into detail about what the design process is, or given like a timeline of how it starts and like what we do and then how it finishes. So that's going to change today as I take you through from start to finish from the designer's perspective to see just how a LEGO set is made. A few qualifiers. I won't go into anything confidential, only stuff that I would have said in fan media interviews or on my Brickset list. This will also just be from my perspective. There's so many other aspects that go into designing a LEGO model, like marketing, manufacture, writing building instructions, making the box art, promotional images, etc. And lastly, this is more of a general overview. Obviously for different projects there's different requirements, like for instance the Ninjago team would have different requirements from the Star Wars team. I'm sure there's LEGO designers watch this saying like, no, that's not how it's done, but you know, this is generalized. So with that all aside, let's jump in. Let's start all the way back at the beginning. Okay, so the design process starts with the concept phase. This is the time when the sky's the limit for what to make. Usually this is a mix of input from marketing, telling us what's currently hot, and a bit of our own research into trends and pitching our own ideas. At this point, we aren't too worried about the cost or buildability of the model, we just want to get hands to bricks and make some really cool things. We'll filter, test, and iterate on these ideas until we have our final lineup of sketch models approved by design management and the big G. Okay, playtime's over. Now to actually do some product design. The next part of the process is the model phase, where each designer will be given a brief to work on a specific model. This will have a budget, an age mark, and a set number of color changes and new elements that we're allowed. At this point, we're very much concerned with buildability. We have a bunch of guidelines on how to build for different ages, so we need to make sure that the model complies with all of them. Not always, but sometimes working lower age marks can be more challenging, trying to make it buildable while still looking cool as it can be. There's a lot of going back and forth between building the model again but digitally, going to Excel to check the costs and the color change allowances, and juggling and optimizing all these factors. We are also always talking to graphic designers, element designers, and management to make sure that we are all happy with the progress of the model. There's a lot of meeting with the team to do basically school show and tells, where we show off the models and others can give input. It's all very collaborative, which I thought was a great atmosphere, instead of us all competing to make models better than our colleagues. In order to make sure that it meets LEGO's quality standards, we have model quality meetings, or MQMs. We have a few of them through the design process, and they're basically the final exam of LEGO design. Again, it's just like school. In this meeting, you're basically going step by step through how you want to build the model, with people critiquing you each step of the way. These can be short 1-hour meetings for some small models, or mammoth 3-day meetings for the bigger models. My longest one was for the typewriter, which was 2 days. The meeting will be with the designer, the building instructions writer, and a model coach. The model coach is a master of the LEGO system, who knows all the rules and quirks, and their main goal is to make the building experience as smooth for the end user as possible. They will comment on things like using similar elements in the same color, building in weird directions, building in unstable ways, if there are any illegal building techniques, and if there's any safety concerns. There can sometimes be a bit of tension between the designer and the model coach, as the designer can slip into prioritizing aesthetics for their grand vision, but ultimately, the model coach is right. So it's up to us to put aside our ego and implement their inputs in a way that's quality throughout the experience and not just the finished model. The person from the building instructions is there to make sure that the build flow that you're proposing is compatible with the LEGO BI standards. Building something in real life in 3D is very different from 2D pages, with fixed camera angles, so we need to make sure that the model is optimized for these views. Now, this seems very intimidating, and the first couple I did was actually a bit scary, but once you've done a few of these, it's actually pretty chill. Just slap on a Spotify playlist, and it's just a group of AFOLs building models together and having a chat. It's great fun. You know, unless it's a Technic function. You kind of have to be fully present for those, and gather all the Dragon Balls, align all your chakras, and collect all 8 gym badges to take on something like that. One of the final tests that we do is a heat test, where essentially we bung it in the oven and bake the model. This reduces the clutch on the bricks and simulates years of play. Here's where we catch any weak points in the model that we might have missed in the MQM. This is also where mech knees go to die. It can be quite disheartening to think that the meeting went really great, only to find out that in the heat test there's a massive fault line up the middle of your model and it just splits in two. But that's why we do the test. The other fun thing that we do is robot testing. If a LEGO model has a function, we set up a robot to repeat that function thousands of times and leave it running to see if it will survive being played with throughout its lifespan. For instance, for the Polaroid camera, we set up a robot to push the photo in and then press the button to make it eject again, and it just did that thousands and thousands of times. This actually caught some flaws in the mechanism and we had to fix them afterwards. There are also some safety checks to do, but I'm not sure if I can go into them, but they are rigorous. Check out this Duplo safety video to get a general idea. After all this, we have a final 3D model, a bill of materials, and an awesome LEGO model, so we then lock it all in. At this point, we pass it on to the people with real jobs, who do the work like sending it to manufacturing, drawing up the building instructions, making the box art, and the marketing campaigns. The designer will be moving on to their next project at this time, and will be invited back to check in on these and give input and make sure it lives up to our lofty vision of what the product is. Designers can be real divas sometimes. Again, it's just like high school. Will I get copyright strikes if I play High School Never Ends? When checking the BI, I would say that's when the magic of being a designer is first felt. Before this, the model feels more like an elaborate mock, but seeing it split into instructions on paper is what makes it feel real, and it's always my favourite part of the post-design work. One of these other tasks is being a toy doctor. As part of the ad campaign, they shoot these product photos in these fancy homes, or bunkers, with people models staring at LEGO models in complete awe before going to sit in the corner. At these, the designer and the intimate knowledge of the product are present on the shoot to make sure the model is built correctly and posed correctly, and sometimes star in the shoot. The last stage before the final check of the model is the finished product hot off the assembly line. Ooh, it's so fresh that it's still warm. This is the finished retail copy of the model, and we basically just go through the model as if we bought it in the store and check that there's nothing wrong, which, if you've done your job correctly, there shouldn't be. It's so satisfying to be able to pop to Tesco and see something that you spent months of your life working on sitting on a shelf for millions of people to buy around the world. One time in Hamburg, I actually saw a kid run up to a shop window and beg their mum to buy them a toy from inside. It was the Friends Theatre School, and it was a very humbling moment for me, with the whole motto for inspiring the builders of tomorrow shtick that the LEGO group go for. But making YouTube videos is also pretty baller. So I hope that was informative and lets you see what goes on behind the scenes on your favourite LEGO models, and also gives a bit more context on my videos. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions about this, and if there's any other video topics that you want me to go over. In the future, I hope to go into other topics that isn't just talk about my models, such as the hiring process or my time as an intern. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya!